One of the things that bothers me about this whole flag thing and the minimization of so many talking heads, oh, this isn't a big deal and so forth, is sadly, I really do believe that even the world has more courage than some of these guys like Dallas Jenkins and so forth when it comes to their courage, to their conviction. Because could you imagine, even Steven Spielberg, I'm not talking about a believer, I'm talking about Steven Spielberg. Do you think while he was making Schindler's List that if the people on his camera crew wanted to wear a Nazi shirt and put a 3-inch Nazi flag up, that he'd be, oh yeah, that's totally fine. But then you're making something about Jesus. It's supposed to be about Jesus and showing the authentic Jesus. Amen. And you have somebody just the acceptance and the pride of homosexuality. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and Chad, I think it's so important that we're dealing with this because a lot of people are missing what I think is really important right now is you have this ecumenical spirit where the kingdom of God is being broadened to define, to be inclusive of those who don't repent of sin and just to affirm deviant sexual lifestyles and so forth. And it's interesting when you look at those who are playing Jesus, Rumi, which we'll get to, I'm sure, and you look at the apostles, what are they promoting? Because keep in mind, they are actually talking to the fan base in these behind the scene videos about how they are promoting Jesus and his teachings and how wonderful this is. So they're actually outside of the actual production relating to them with their views. And it's interesting because they're basically saying, the family of God, well, we're all part of the family, even if you are involved in homosexuality. In fact, it's interesting, Jordan Ross, who plays the apostle, little James, listen to what he says. My brother, he's not the only one who stands up for the LGBTQ members of the chosen family. Like, we're all a family. I thought this is interesting. When I started looking at more of the interviews, I started looking at what these guys are saying. Like, ooh, they keep defining that we are the family, and it's like the family of God, and it includes everyone, whether you are born again or not. In fact, Ross wrote that Christianity, quote, is not a monolith. There are gay Christians, trans Christians, straight Christians, liberal Christians, conservative Christians. Stop gatekeeping for the Christian faith. It's not your place to determine whether or not someone is a true Christian.
I wonder if he thinks the Westboro Baptists are Christians, because I doubt he does.
That's a good point.
But I doubt it too. But it's so interesting. You hear them; they'll put all ththese lists, but it's like, but are there murdering Christians? Are there thief Christians? Well, where do you draw the line there?
No, which is a great point. Because, and he says, who are you to determine who's a Christian? Well, as a pastor, right? And as an elder, right? In our fellowship, we have to, how do you bring church discipline? If someone's involved in adultery, if they're involved in, fornication and unrepentant, homosexuality or whatever, do we just, no, we're all Christians. No, this is so unbiblical, he's saying. In fact, John makes it clear. Can we determine if someone's a believer or not? You can't know some people because they may be writing in faith, you don't know their secret lives. But when it's just blatant, like 1 John says, we know in 1 John chapter 1, verses 3, or chapter 3, verses 8 through 10, says, in this, the children of God are manifest in the children of the devil. He that practices righteousness is born of God, and he that practices sin is of the devil. And he says they're obvious. So it's interesting. Cairo, who plays Thaddeus, he says, another one of the actors of The Chosen here, anyone who is going to go at one of the family members, right? He says, for something like this is no fan of ours. They can close the door on the way out, love one another as I have loved you. We stand with our brother. So guess what? The ones who are out of God's family are the conservative Christians who say, hey, wait, that's contrary to Jesus' teaching. And you can leave because we're going to be one family without you. And it's interesting because this same Thaddeus, guy plays Thaddeus, Giovanni Cairo, he says this for the upcoming season. He goes, the honeymoon is over. The disciples are going to see and feel. It's all about feeling here to get in the family, not doctrine and not truth. See and feel what it is really like to see and follow Jesus. This is interviews. These are the apostles saying you're going to see what it means to see and feel. And then you got Rumi, you got this kind of Gumby Jesus, right? That you can mold to follow him however you want. And folks, you're going to have a different Jesus if you follow the Jesus of The Chosen.